Hello everybody, I'm Gwen Campbell-Mindes. Welcome to my 7th anniversary special. I've been doing this for 7 years. Aren't you impressed? So this is the anniversary special where is the time when I talk about something that's book adjacent. It isn't about a book, it's about reading stuff I like to read, books that were made into movies, that kind of thing. And what happened this year was I was hoping to find a copy of a dinosaur book that I really, really loved when I was a kid, and I couldn't track it down. So it's this book, Dinosaurs and Other Prehistoric Reptiles, and the thing is, this was a book that was published in the 1970s. It's one of those books that is massively, hugely, ridiculously out of date. But the thing about it was, no matter what you want to say about the inaccuracy of the actual, images that they put in the book, the actual things that they came up with, the art in it was gorgeous. And that was what led me to my topic for today, because my topic for today made up a significant percentage of the illustrations in this book, and indeed I believe that they were all done by Zallinger, who was the man who made this, who did the art in this, and who did the mural that I'm about to talk about. And this is a mural that is in the Peabody Museum, and this is one of those things that you look at, and if you're one of those dinosaur obsessed people who gets angry with somebody who says things like, well, I just like my T-Rexes not to have feathers. They look dopey with feathers. For the record, they do look dopey. I'm not saying they don't look scary, but they do look dopey. And that's because birds look dopey. Have you ever looked at a picture of a bald eagle head on? They actually can look remarkably dopey. And that's the bald eagle, the great dramatic representative of American that birds look dopey. It's part of being a bird. That doesn't mean they're not scary. Ostriches, dopey, really dopey looking. Have you ever stood next to an ostrich? I have, and they're terrifying. So, just because, sure, the theropod dinosaurs must have had feathers, that doesn't mean they don't look silly. Anyways, back to my real point, which is that dinosaurs have always been something dramatic and exciting, and paleontological reconstructionists, artists whose job, they make this their job, to take what is then current science and make art out of it, to say, this is what it could have looked like, here's something to capture the imagination. You have this at Crystal Palace back in the 1800s, that you have this, and just because it ceases to be scientifically accurate doesn't make it bad art. Also, for the record, if something was scientifically accurate at the time, or eminently scientifically accurate at the time, one should always accept that if something was accurate at the time, that we don't make snide comments about the capabilities of an artist just because he couldn't see the future. So, this is the Age of Reptiles in the Peabody Museum, and I have some details, that is, smaller clips from this that I can sort of bring up in a second. But this is sort of the whole mural, which is, this is an actual mural in real life. That is, we're talking about something that, if you go to the Yale Peabody Museum, it's 110 feet long. This is one of those football field sized things. So what you're seeing here gives you no notion of the scope of it, but I want you to look at this in terms of what he's built here. This is supposed to be giving you sort of this view of, what was happening in the Cretaceous, Jurassic, Triassic, the Permian, and the Carboniferous. And so what he's done is he's created just this march through time, which, by the way, is from right to left, moving forward in time, because that is where you enter the room from and, follow it along. But anyways, so you look at these and you see all of this detail. You see this beautiful, so well realized world. You see this Tyrannosaurus and these Ankylosaur and the Triceratops and and all of these things, the Plateosaurs, and you just have this absolutely wonderfully beautiful sort of set of images that, as I said, they capture the imagination. They give you something to look at and to think, wow, I wish I could see this for real. And it's because they're so beautifully realized. I mean, look at this image. Look at these details. Look at this, the shape of the Adaphosaurs, and that's the fin things in the left and the middle. Oh yeah, no, we have a Dimetrodon. So the Dimetrodon's in the middle, and the other fin thing on the left is the Adaphosaur. But you look at that, you look at those fins, you look at this tiny lizard in the front, you look at those cliffs in the back and these trees, and it looks beautiful. It looks like something that makes you say, wow, I want to know more about this. I want to see this. I want to understand it better. And this is his bit of the Permian. This is Zallinger giving us just this glimpse. And the interesting thing I would like to point out, of course, is that in Walking with Dinosaurs, actually Walking with Prehistoric Monsters, it's a special that came out, 40 years later, 50 years later, and there are parts of this that do remain the same as that. Now, granted, our understandings continue to evolve since Walking with Dinosaurs, yada yada, but I think it speaks to the accuracy in its way that what we're looking at here still gives us something that evokes images that we see decades and decades later, and it's not coincidence, because if nothing else, somebody thinks of this, somebody has bits of this back in their mind. But you look at the detail of the cliffs in the back, just filling out the distance, making this real. Let's take a look at this clip, which is perhaps not entirely cut as it ought to be, because this appears to be some more Triassic than Jurassic, but it's Triassic on the right and Jurassic on the left, because the Allosaurs are really not Triassic. But anyways, I wish that I had better detail on this. I can certainly try to blow it up for you here. The problem is that it gets pixelated, and, then we lose the details. But you take a look at these beautiful, the details of the ferns, those clouds in the background, which are gorgeously filled in. They're just so wonderfully, they just give so much movement to the scene. And, the fact that these dinosaurs, they're not all gray, they're not dull, they're not anything. The Plateosaurs are, practically blue with these brown stripes, and the Allosaurus on the left, it's brown, but it's sort of in its way, a bright brown, and you have those stripy details on it. And it's such a wonderful piece of art. And I can't sing his praises enough, because it has to do with the art. Because I've said it before, that was my undergrad. That was what I did. That was what I chose to study in school, and it's something that I always come back to, is how wonderful and moving and evocative and thought-provoking art can be, even if it's art that we think of as no longer being scientifically accurate, even if we're looking at this and we see this giant sauropod up to its chest in water, because at the time people believed that the sauropods were so big that they needed to be in water to offset their tremendous weight. And sure, we know that's wrong now, but look at this swamp. Look at this idea of this dinosaur just rising out of the water like that. You look at that Stegosaurus on the right, and the way that it's framed by this brontosaur, all of these things are just so lovely. It's beautiful to look at. I love so much of what we're looking at right here. And of course, finally, the Cretaceous period, and again, we have a Tyrannosaurus smack in the middle, and nobody thinks they look like that anymore. The way the skull is shaped is weird. The way the body is shaped is this weird bulbous thing, but at the same time, it's alien and exciting, and something that you want to look at more. You want to see more. I need to stop touching my mouse because I've managed to pull things down on the screen. And I absolutely recommend looking into the artwork, into Zallinger's artwork, just because it's wonderful. It's so wonderful. And let's just go back to the beginning. Think about doing this. Think about doing a mural more than 100 feet long that's made up of everything that we see here, that covers all of these areas of time and creates this fully realized world for all of these. And think about what that means. It's marvelous. It's something that I can't help but adore. Just looking at the art. And so I couldn't help but want to take a minute to just talk about this thing, because these were the illustrations in one of my favorite dinosaur books. And and how somebody can look at this and not see and not see something that's that you look at Rudolph Zallinger and not see amazing things is just beyond me. So since I've managed to stall myself out because I was taking a moment to look up the name and probably should have re-recorded this, but I will not, because I am like that and I'm trying to stay a little bit ahead of things on my videos. Anyways, so this is my 7th year book-related thing. These images that are in that book that I showed you a moment ago, the images that make up dinosaurs and other prehistoric reptiles. No, you don't give this book to children anymore. No, you don't treat it as accurate. But if you have a copy of it, you should prize it, because right now it's going for sale online for at least $100. So, if nothing else, you could probably make $100 off of it. And so, yeah. That's basically everything. Rudolph Zallinger. I'll have the name in the comments below and in the description below, and you should check him out if you're interested in dinosaur artwork at all. So that's everything I have to say, and let's go out on a pretty thing, and I will see you all next week.